Have you ever found yourself looking to initiate a new outbound calling campaign to some existing data that's in your PhoneBurner account that's already been through some other sort of calling process that you've put together? If that's the case, then you're in the right place. We're going to create a series of calls that we can make to some existing contacts. Now, of course, the reason why you want to put somebody into this campaign is going to be different for every one of you that watches this. But the mechanics of putting this together will all be very similar. So let's start diving into this. Hopefully at this point you've been following along and watching all of the other trainings that are part of the advanced search training module, and you've learned how to take advantage of the advanced search feature in the system, because that's what we're going to be relying on, but not just the advanced search. And of course, if you have been following along, then you know that we typically, when building a calling process in PhoneBurner, we are looking at the dial session information, like when was the last time somebody was called and how many times have we attempted to reach them. And that works perfect for all of your new data that enters your PhoneBurner account. The problem is when you're dealing with existing data that's all been called maybe different varying numbers of times, we can't accurately rely on the total call attempts to drive our calling process. And so we need to come up with a new plan, another way of systematically working through the data. So what we're going to be doing on this training is we're going to be using a few different features in the PhoneBurner system to build out this process. So the first thing we need to do is we need to identify all of the contacts that need to begin or enter into this new calling process. That could be based off of their location. That could be based off of when they were added to the system, maybe. It could be based off of a specific custom field. Maybe there's a custom field that you've updated or added to the system that, hey, these are the people I want to focus on. And of course, I will leave that up to you to decide what it is that you want to look for. But in my particular case, I'm going to use a couple different options here. I'm going to say I want everybody who has the annual payment checkbox checked as yes. I'm going to look for people who were added before a specific date. So let's go before, and let's go back a year or so. Just pick a date randomly, right? Doesn't matter. This is all just demo data. So anybody who's added before that date has that checkbox checked, and let's exclude a specific folder of data. Maybe we don't want to call anybody who has an appointment scheduled or currently has a follow-up, right? We want to exclude those, maybe even our closed won people. So we're going to exclude those specific folders to find the contacts that we want to throw into our new calling campaign. And I'm not going to save this search because I'm just going to do this one time. So let's go ahead and hit the search button. And that's going to give me a certain number of contacts. In my particular case, I have 19 contacts. Now, what I would recommend at this point, now that we've found the contacts that we care about, we're going to select them all. We're going to click on Actions, and we're going to click on Add/Remove Tags. And we're going to create a new tag that we're going to apply to all of these contacts that meet this criteria. I'm going to name this tag New Calling Campaign, and we're going to apply changes. All right, so now we have all of these contacts tagged, so it's going to be easy for us to find those records. So let's go ahead and refresh our contact manager, go to the advanced search, go to the tag section, and you'll see our new calling campaign tag, and if we hit search, we've got our 19 records, right? So now we've identified them, but how do we ensure that we systematically work through this data? So this could be as simple as, hey, I'm looking for everybody with this specific tag, and then that could be new campaign call 1, right? But of course, if we're just looking for everybody with that tag, after we do that first phone call, they still have that tag. So that doesn't remove them from this saved search. So now we have to worry about stepping on our own toes. So we're going to have to come up with some other process to work through this specific set of data. So let's not worry about saving this search just yet. Let's go ahead and cancel this. And let's talk about how we're going to systematically work through this data. So let's jump over to dial sessions under settings. We're going to go to dispositions. And here we have our dispositions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a few dialing sets to help me systematically move these contacts through call 1, call 2, call 3, and call 4. So I could start by just creating a new dialing set. Let's call this new campaign call 1. Save that. And of course, there's no buttons in here. Now, because this dialing set is going to be specific to call 1, I can be very deliberate in the buttons that I add here. I could add a voicemail button. And I could assign a specific voicemail. Maybe I have a specific voicemail that I've recorded for that first phone call, that first outreach. I could assign that to the disposition. Totally up to you. I might have a specific email that I want to send to that specific to those specific contacts that don't answer this call. If I have the ability to send text messages, I could send a specific text message based off of them receiving a phone call in this specific campaign. But one thing that I really want to talk to you about here is the tag section. So what I want to do is I want to remove the new calling campaign tag, and I want to add a new tag called new calling campaign call 2. That works. So I create a tag that I want to apply, and I'm going to remove the tag that I no longer want to have applied to that contact. And I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And then we need to create another button here for no answer. And so just like the other one, we could apply a specific email, we could assign a specific text message. But in this particular case, we do want to remove the new calling campaign tag, and we want to add the NCC Call 2 tag. And we're going to do that for every one of the dispositions that we create in the dialing set. Unless, of course, there's a disposition like bad number, where we don't want them to continue going through, right? So maybe the number is no longer good. Since we tried reaching them before, now their number's been disconnected or whatever. So in this particular case, all we want to do is remove this tag. We don't want to add the other tag because they don't need to move on anymore. So we're going to go ahead and save changes. So that's our dialing set. Our live answer set can be the same as what we typically use, or we could create a new live answer set. But if somebody answers the phone, then we're probably going to put them in some other follow-up process or not interested, whatever. But specifically, if they don't answer, we want to continue to try to reach out to them. So I'm just going to create this new campaign call 1 dialing set. Go back to our dispositions. You'll see that listed here. And of course, if we want to do multiple calls, then we can just copy this. Now we can edit the new calling campaign call 1 and change that to call 2. We need to update our tag. So instead of VM call 1, this is going to be VM call 2. Sorry, this is not the tags. But we are going to want to update our voicemail, our emails, anything that needs to be specific to the second attempt. We want to update that here, but most importantly, we want to update our tags. We can leave this tag on the removal if we want, but we need to add the NCC Call 2 tag to be removed because we need to move them on to NCC Call 3, right? So we need to add that tag and save. Back to our dispositions. Oh, you know what? I did not. I just did the voicemail. We need to update the no answer button. This one needs to have NCC Call 2 NCC Call 3. So you're just going to update all of your dispositions in that set to ensure that the appropriate tags are removed and the appropriate ones are added, right? So we're going to keep this simple just so that you can get the concept. Now let's go and add a third call. Let's say we're just going to go through 3 calls. So nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to duplicate this one. This is going to be 3, save, update this button. Update any of these things that we need to update, but of course we need to, for sure, update the removal. And this is NCC call done, right? So now we're done with them. Or we could just remove the tags and we don't care about them anymore, right? So, but we're gonna do the NCC call done. No answer. Save that. Okay, so now we have our dialing set all set, configured, ready to go. We've got those 3. Now we can go back to contacts. Now let's build out our process, right? So we're going to the advanced search. We're looking for anybody who has the new calling campaign tag, right? This is going to be NCC Call 1. Save that search. That gives us our 19, right? But as we call through them, so if we were to select all these and begin a dial session, we would want to make sure that we're selecting the new campaign call 1, call 2, call 3, depending on which group we're calling. So in this particular case, this is our first call, so we're going to choose that dialing set. Now you may have noticed here when I clicked on that, these are what are called dialer presets. So you can actually configure all of your settings into one button here, and you can bypass all of that stuff right there. But we're not going to dive into that on this specific training. This is already going to be a long enough training as it is. So now we've got that save search, so then we need to create our next save search, which is going to be anybody who has the NCC Call 2 tag, right? Because after a first call, they get a second tag. So anybody with that tag, and we want to take in the dial session last called. So before X days ago, maybe we want to wait 3 days, and we hit apply, and now we're ready to go. So this is everybody with that tag that hasn't been called for 3 days, we need to call again. So we're going to do, this is our new NCC Call 2, hit search. We don't have anybody that qualifies, right? Now let's go ahead and create our next search. This is going to be anybody with NCC Call 3, last called before, let's say 5 days ago. And this is going to be our NCC Call 3. And of course, we have nobody that qualifies. And we could just keep going through that depending on how many dialing sets, how many sets of dispositions that we've configured, how many calls we want them to go through. We can just continue to build that out. And so here, again, if this is a process that you're going to do regularly, then you might want to tag these so that when you go to contacts, you'll always be able to see those up at the top and you can focus on those. So anyway, that's a quick little overview of how you could build out an additional calling campaign to a certain group of contacts that already exist in your account that may have been called varying amounts of times throughout the time that they've been in the PhoneBurner system. So I hope this helps you and your organization get more done using the power of PhoneBurner. Thanks again and happy dialing.